Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third episode, I think. Third, if you count the prep stream of the PCD cast. My name is NT. I'll be hosting tonight with the lovely Matt BSG. Um,
Hello.
Tonight, we are also joined by the graphic designer for the PCD GFX, a very talented art man. Um,
Howdy.
Thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of things to go over, but the main topic being a lot of the changes with Paxter and with graphics in general within the server. Um, I know you've had your stream discussing that and going over that, but for folks who weren't able to make that or didn't see the announcement of the server, what sort of things changed with Paxter?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah, I guess it's been, what's he been? It's been like a couple weeks now
Yeah.
since he got put in place now. But the planning for that started around August or so, which is when we were planning on working on the new 2020 PAX badges. Well, the very, very early stages of them. Um, and he ended up just being way too wonky to work with. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition that fast, but um, essentially, while working on the design, if you go back and look at the old logo compared to the new one, um, there's just a lot of small design flaws, and it was a very clunky logo, which was very inflexible compared to the new one. I did cover most of my specific issues within the my nice chunky long blog post I made about it, but ultimately it was just kind of outdated, to my standards at least. So that's when we started working on it, and he was just kind of fully redesigned from the ground up.
That's good. I think it's definitely a lot sleeker, and I think it's a better logo for the server, kind of. When I first saw it, I will say I'm like in black and white. I was kind of confused about it because you know how change works. Everyone's afraid of change, but honestly, I think it's much cooler. I think it's a pretty cute logo. There's a lot you can do with it because you can have like with the server icon now being the Pennywise Paxter. Um, I think you have a lot more opportunity to do things like that and make more like sprites kind of with it.
Yeah.
And I like that about it because you can. It's kind of like a malleable, which I definitely like. Speaking of sprites, there's been a lot of new emojis added to the server as well. Um,
Yeah, so with the change of Paxter, concluding with all that flexibility options, it was just a cool little tidbit I figured we could add. His face by itself was already kind of much more malleable. It wasn't locked into the same two ovals, which actually that kind of goes along hand with another reason that he was changed, which is he was way too closely based upon Discord's Clyde logo, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. It's Discord's main logo.
yeah,
um, just doesn't most people don't know it referred to as Clyde, but um, essentially it's like our initial issues were designing the original Paxter were not to infringe on any copyrights of PAX and not to copy anything too closely for them. Um,
or for
so
Discord.
well, yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. It's like if we were focusing so hard not to worry about like stepping our boundaries with packs, it's kind of almost weird that we took so much inspiration from the Discord logo itself, um, and it was honestly a very recognizable if you compared the two side by side. So with this one, it was very important that it was much more standalone and much more unique. This is based off literally nothing other than the old logo, just reimagined.
Yeah,
So there's no copyright issues, or at least there shouldn't be. The only
hmm
thing that's taken from anything is the colors for the PAX events to keep it true to what it was.
There's also been a bunch of different changes to it, being obviously the huge flexibility with the different choices with it, with the new design that is. But there's also just it's hard to imagine the actual amount of flexibility it gives you. For example, the Halloween logo that we have for the server right now, um, it's basically it's our favorite clown Pennywise.
There you go.
there you
Um,
go. You got it.
Great head of hair. He's holding his balloon basically with the scarred eyes, and it there's so much you can do with it because it's basically just, if I were to describe his face to people listening, you can make it like, I don't know, like a bubbly like cloud type of thing. He's just like a white-headed character with his goofy eyes and smile.
I, I,
But
I
that
was a
just
huge
mhm,
fan of this, being a big horror nut.
yeah,
Um, I was a huge fan of this when it launched. I think I love the idea of having it change for. I mean, granted, we've had it change with the logo for Pride Month and everything, but um, nothing like this before as much. Which I think it's a great addition to um, keeping up uh, during the off season of PAX, which I think is something that we're always trying to improve. Is keep active, even when there's not a PAX event running. Um, but that's I think that's a great step working towards that. Um,
Yeah, and there'll definitely be plenty more. Another idea that was run by during no, it was the first design. No, it was the second design stream. Was the idea of Joker Paxter, which unfortunately was very close to when we were already planning on pushing this one out. Um, in future years, going forward with him, I had a plan to do several costumes throughout the month of October. So we aren't limited to just one for 30 days.
yeah,
We didn't do that this year, obviously. Of course, we he got pushed out mid October. I didn't want to rush his Halloween version immediately since it was the first time. Obviously, he's going to be put on the server. I want people to get familiar with the normal one, but next year that's
yeah,
definitely an option.
and I think there's a lot of opportunities to do that for not just Halloween, but for all different seasons of the year, different holiday
Yeah, yeah,
events.
yeah.
Um, Now, going back to the stream, I know we had brought that up. Um, what was your favorite part about being able to work with the community to design new Paxter looks?
So also zooming back again to original Paxter, it was based on a lot of community interaction, um, which ended up being helpful and kind of causing issues at times. There's always going to be more confliction, obviously, when you put more people into it. So this was a much more separated design as far as community interaction. This was done all basically behind closed doors with no input at all from basically anyone but our other designer for the most part. So it was kind of definitely cool just in general to be able to get some input on the current design and just build upon that instead of having other people try to change what ended up becoming the base, because again that causes a lot of pull from each direction and you just really can't satisfy everyone in that case, and then it might have generated something that overall was a little less appealing, just because a couple people here and there ended up getting their voices heard a little bit more. And I don't mean to make that sound like bad, of course. Like
Yeah,
obviously opinions matter, um, but too many cooks in the kitchen is definitely an issue sometimes. So,
absolutely.
um, but having some of that input, I wanted to give the community some say in what they were going to be seeing in the next couple of months. So it was just fun to be able to hear what some people's ideas, because I couldn't think of everything myself. So
Yeah,
mhm.
um, I think that's definitely a great thing about this new Paxter compared to the old one is being able to do things like the Halloween costumed one or have the different emojis for the server, which I think kind of adds more to the personality and the server being more unique. Um, what I know there's a big announcement going out tomorrow because we're recording this on Sunday. Um, because and this will go out after that. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
yeah, so tomorrow or today, whenever you're listening to this, or in the past, I suppose you're not always having to listen to this on the day it might come out, but we will be announcing 2020 badges, which was a big deal for us last year when we announced 2019. And I am honestly even more excited this year for the announcement. We were working on it pretty hard. Um, Last year was essentially mostly Matt's design, and I think he did a great job at modernizing the badges from the year prior. This year, I decided to take a stab at getting back into it and trying to design something new and unique, but also keep that clean feel to it. But again, something, like I said, unique, something special that people would actually look forward to getting for each event. So this year we are doing a trading card design. I guess you can call it a trading card. That's what I've been referring to it as. And it's essentially going to feature some unique artwork that we have. One of our friends, Fernando, who is doing the artwork for at least for the South design so far. Um, we weren't sure yet if we were going to be switching artists or sticking with him, but I really enjoyed the style that he did. We have Paxter running away from a dragon breathing fire. There's a couple gaming references that people might notice in it as
Yeah.
well, but I'll leave that to when they actually see the image to find for themselves. I won't spoil anything, but
Yeah, I think I personally love it. Um, I think you sent a GIF of that, and I think it looks awesome. I'm gonna make it into a wallpaper engine background eventually.
that's gonna come as far as for public use. That's gonna stay a secret for a while though.
Yeah,
So
Oh yeah.
at
I
least
have
for
plans
myself.
for. That's fine. Yeah, I have plans for that. Towards the end of 2020, so people actually won't find out about that for a while.
Badges are
um,
also going to be fairly unique to you as well. There's a lot more customization that's going to be with the badges. It will show you your Nitro boost tier if you are a booster. Obviously, the Hype Squad house comes back, but it's more prominent in the top left corner. You're going to be able to see your badges, and we have some pretty cool, neat, nifty descriptions for each of what your profile badges actually mean.
my
Um,
little meta
yeah, little meta
titles.
descriptions, yeah. And then also more, you have an extra social media slot this year too. When you order your badges, you can get personalization options. But badges are also numbered this year. Each badge has a unique number, like an issue number that's specific to your badge as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, as recommended by Brandon, a lot of trading cards tend to have a card number to uniquely identify like which card you have. So he's like, why don't we put something like that on it? But let's have it like your member number of when you join the server. So that's going to be a free of charge thing for community supporters. That is, we're not going to ask for additional donation for that. But in the bottom corner of your badge, you will have a little unique number that no one else will have. And while your badge is already unique, if it has your name in it, it adds a little bit more of a special touch and sticks with the whole theme of being a TCG.
Yeah, and I think that's really I think it's just such a cool touch to have your own unique sort of badge, and I've definitely liked them in previous years, but they've kind of um I think they're less unique than this one is, in the sense that this is all like the last one's obviously had your name on it, everything, but this one has
Mhm.
like specialty art and everything on it. I think it looks great, um, and I think I like the back too. Um, yeah,
Yeah, the back was honestly something I had a lot of issue on because I was just so unsure of what to make it. Um, and I ended up just drawing inspiration from, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And
yeah,
the swirls that are common on the back and figured we'll keep it simplistic. I also wanted to keep text to a minimal on the back for whatchamacallit, things like sponsors and things like credits to people that worked on things. So
yeah,
it's a very minimalistic backing piece this
yeah,
time around.
but with a lot of options in the future, which I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with these new badges, um, do you think there'll be different pin designs as well? I know there's with this
Ooh.
topic there may be things, or with this in general. I know this is all relatively new, so there might be things you can't discuss yet. But do you have any plans to make more than one Paxter pin? Because I know obviously I'm assuming new Paxter will be the pin. Um, but do you think there will be other pins of other versions of Paxter as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. Given all of his variations that we've already released, I could definitely see it happening. Pins, yeah, our next pin design now that Paxter got reworked will most likely be an updated Paxter pin. Um, we don't have immediate plans that we're sharing as of right now of when they'll be ready to order or anything. We have to figure out logistics for it, and doing pins is always a little difficult for us as we try to send, other than for our pride pins, which were for donation, of course. Um, we try to do them pretty close to cost. So because we have no real intention and need to make profit, of course,
Yeah,
we're just trying to get the pins out to people.
we don't really
Um,
have any costs
yeah.
like running wise.
But the only issue is, when you sell things at cost, if you don't end up selling, all or close to all, you can't really, well,
You
you end up
still
fronting
lose.
a lot of money. Yeah. So, and then when you end up fronting a lot of money for it, event after event, it becomes a very expensive endeavor. And um, myself and Brandon especially, have been, working towards improving that system and also splitting things and going back and forth. And it's been
Yeah.
working out, and it's just fun to get the things out to the community. But we're trying to figure out a way that we can keep the pins cheap without also, every event destroying both of our wallets. So
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know Brandon, he's referring to Anda, who's the community leader.
Hmm.
yeah, sorry.
No, um, yeah, but I think I get how it can be expensive, and definitely custom enamel pins are very pricey. Um, Especially once you get to having custom backings and custom like cards with it gets like
Mm,
very pricey. And I guess especially with if you don't sell them all, or like what if someone picks it up or doesn't, or something goes wrong with the pay, or you know what I mean. It gets kind of dicey eventually when you have to count on pretty much selling every single one in order to make your money back. Um,
yeah.
Although I guess I wouldn't. I don't. I guess if you even if you did sell them for a little bit more than cost, um, or more than cost to get not profit in the sense that it'd be going
No,
to
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's so
people.
you can recoup the
Um,
money a little faster.
yeah, or it would be okay putting up the money, and you could sell them a little bit cheaper next year or something like that. I
Yeah,
think
there's
that would be
different
something.
roads to explore that
Absolutely.
we're just trying to work out. We also have potentially a new pin contact to work with that can help reduce some costs. So, a couple different options available. I'm not honestly sure, and I can't guarantee if pins will be available on at South
Yeah.
itself. We might have to push it to East, but we are working and trying our best.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely I think it's a good part of the community having that engagement of being able to represent the community. Which, I mean, granted, a lot of people who go to PAX, it's a big part of like people's lives and everything. At least for me, I look forward to it all year.
Hmm.
Um,
hmm
Yeah,
and
it's really just like it's a huge thing. It's not just the Paximi Discord. Obviously, it's much bigger than that. It's thousands, tens of thousands of attendees, depending on what event you look at, um, just coming together, and people who are complete strangers. If you're watching this, you probably know what I'm talking about. You've probably been in the PAX scene before, but it's quite awesome to be able to foster a type of community like that, of those people that you literally go to see, and all have them surrounding you outside of a PAX, and having those friendships and the ease of talk in the server. Um, so we really wanted to try and represent something along the lines of community, and trying to give back to people, and giving some cool things for everyone to to rep and stuff. We also usually have our shirts. We almost always have shirts. Has there ever been one without a shirt yet? Oh, PAX really?
um,
In
I
recent years, anyway.
Yeah,
I
at
don't,
recent events, I don't believe so.
I
We've
don't
always
think
had
so.
something
Yeah.
available.
So there's always some way to like rep. All of our stuff that you do, if you do purchase anything from us, it's not used for profit in our pockets. It's literally
Yeah,
just used to
everything
put
goes
back in the
back.
community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything you give is appreciated. No one's required to do so. It's just a cool little thing. It's kind of a cool little thing. You get a community badge.
yeah,
Which
PAX
is
So
is
why
it's
we
expensive
also,
as it is.
yeah, I was
there's
gonna say, which is why we
definitely
also try to keep free badges a thing. We don't want anyone to feel excluded
left
just
out.
because they don't want
Hmm.
to,
No, they can't afford
give
it.
some random group, $10 for something that they're not even sure about. Especially if it's your first time, it can definitely be a little weird.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
we
I
like
spent like
to,
$30 on dice last year.
yeah. So yeah, it can. We want to make make sure everyone can be included. So all you have to do to get a free badge is just reserve your place. We need to know how many we do need to order. We don't just order, like 2,000 of them. Um, so as long as you fill out the form, which form will also be going up tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching, be going up with the announcement, is what I will say. So if you're an east or south goer, you can reserve whatever event that you want, and there will be a badge respective to each one. Artwork will be different on the south versus the east. The east artwork will not be announced for quite a while, but
So the
it will be
dragon's for
interesting.
South right now.
Yeah, so what I will say about the artwork is every piece of it will have a color themed to the event. So the majority of the artwork for South, you can tell, has an orangey overtone to it.
Yeah.
So you will see that theme continue throughout the year, and there might be something cool if you collect all 5 of them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's another reason why it gets expensive is like um I don't know how many PAXs you go to. Um but I know Matt, you went to West and
Yep,
you go
West
to
and East
East.
this year.
I go to East, potentially unplugged. It's just and it gets expensive, and I'm sure even with I know he used to fly out. I think at some point to most of the PAXs, or at least in
Yeah, me and Brandon
America.
have both done every US PAX at various times, but he was flying it for a while to all of them. Now he's taking a break.
Yeah, and I get that's why that's just a huge thing, and that's I guess why having the community engagement where people can meet up and everything with that is so important because it just shows how strong of a community we have. Not just with the PAX Discord, but PAX overall.
hmm
Um, and that even Brandon being willing to fly out to all the PAXs to. I mean, I love PAX, but that would get really expensive. um,
Yeah.
Expensive it gets.
yeah. Going back to the shirts real quick.
Sure.
Do you think that in the future there'll be um potential for more shirts available, like or different designs on the shirts, or potentially in the future having a place where people can buy shirts with different logos on it or different images of Paxter?
So, I've been kind of passively, at least, browsing different ways of increasing our shirt quality. Teespring's fine for something like what we're doing, but I'd like just a slightly better version, essentially, of
Like
Teespring to
quality
work with.
wise,
Yeah, like I said, yeah, they're all right. Could be better in my
they're
opinion.
cost effective. Um,
Yeah.
I've worked with
Um,
Custom Make before. They make good quality stuff, but it does get expensive if you don't buy a lot.
Interesting.
So
So
I'd
yeah, I'm
recommend them.
just all right. I'll give them a look, but yeah, I mean, we'll have more designs out probably. I think I'm going to also be working on designs for the different events throughout the year again. Um, Going to try to make them a little bit more unique and hopefully high quality. Um, I liked the shirts last year, but it was the same design for every event, just different color shirt. So we're gonna try to do something a little different this year. That's the hopes, at least. Again, no guarantee. We're still got about a month and a half, 2 months or so to work on it. Until then, though, nothing's really set in stone.
Yeah, and actually that leads right into my next question. How I mean, as one of two graphic designers, and I mean I've seen you do a lot of what goes public.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you find time to do all of this? Like with, I'm sure life is pretty busy in general. So, like, how do you find time to do it? Like all of this?
Yeah, well, I go to school for visual communications and graphic design, so it's kind of a hobby as well. Obviously, you can assume, well, if I didn't like it, obviously I wouldn't be doing it. But it's just comes down to in my free time. There's a lot of times that I procrastinate and I can't do things and I have to put things off because either school or life gets in the way and I forget to do things sometimes for the server. But it's just essentially offering my time just when I can. And a lot of projects have in the past like year or so have become a lot less of I work on it for like 4 hours straight and just get it done or whatever, and have become a lot more of like a half an hour here, an hour here, just when I can. So it's just working it into your schedule essentially, and it's usually fun stuff. So it's never like tedious. So it's not like
Yeah, it's not a
I
chore. It's
yeah. There's very few things that I've done for the server that have felt annoying to do. So hopefully it stays that way.
yeah. Um, and with all the changes that are being made, do you think that there'll be any or do you think there's anything else within the server graphic wise that needs a big update?
I mean, this has definitely been our biggest overhaul since I think the beginning of the server. Well, since the beginning of when we first introduced like Paxter and everything, that was back in mid to late 2017. So only a little while after the server began.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Um, I mean, realistically, I tried to go over every piece of the server and the social media to get something up to date. Um, we have the server banners now. I redid those to add a little bit of Paxter flair to them. All social media should be set up by now, as long as Anda got everything set up on the YouTube. I think that was the last thing we were waiting on. So aside from that, as far as like big overhauls, probably nothing for a while. The biggest design thing that will be coming up is most likely just our new theming for like our 2020 like game nights.
Yeah.
That'll be the big. I'm trying to. Last year was a little bit of a mixed bag with how I wanted to do designing for it. Every single event actually had a basically a new theme. And I was just trying stuff out. Essentially, I'd like to lock something down a little bit more
Yeah. Some new
this year.
stream elements and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's another one of those things where it's like we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm sure that it all has to be. It takes a lot longer than people think. You don't kind of
yeah,
just throw it
there's
up there. It's more of you go
it's a lot
through.
of back and forth.
Yeah.
Like you guys know that. So a lot of our design stuff, which both of you might not know, is it goes through the higher up. Well, first it goes through me and our other designer Matt, the other Matt,
Hmm.
CMYK. Then it bounces off of Brandon. Then it bounces off of the staff. Then it bounces off of the PCD crew. Then it goes live. So there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of areas where things can be changed and input can be given. So it's going to be interesting to see where that sort of stuff goes. Things like panel stuff, though, it's basically me and Brandon are like final verdict on it because it's not terribly important. It's not something that's going to be up for a long time. It's going to be at the panel, and that's the last you're
And
going
then
to see of
the
that.
YouTube if it goes up.
Yeah, I mean, we've only done one. I had the East one recorded because I was very excited about the thing that got kind of screwed up and then got fixed. And in fact, first time saying it publicly, but I have another cool thing similar to that. If you were at the East panel last year, I have another cool thing planned for next year's or 2020 East panel.
Ah.
And I will be controlling it, so there shouldn't be issues. Um, but yeah, so I mean, that's what it really comes down to is just, take it as you go, right?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I'm already getting excited for that.
What'd you say, Matt?
until
That's
an
all.
inevitable Windows update on the
Oh
panel.
yeah, I swear that's happened
That
like two or
happened
three
two
times.
times. It's happened 2 times
Yeah,
already.
it's
It's
it's good timing. I'll
oh
see.
yeah, oh yeah.
See, I'll have a Mac going, so I'll make sure everything's updated beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be a part of that and everything. Because I know it's such a big thing, like PAX in general, and just being part of something more than just going it has completely changed the way how I look at the event. Um, at least for me, personally, like I see now, like I think I appreciate it more. Kind of with being part of the community,
Hmm.
and being part of doing things with the community, not just for with PAX, but with like the PAX Discord. Um, like being part of that Discord. Um, I just think it's so like realizing how you're not just part of you're part of something like you're part of something bigger than what you realize. Whereas like just as going to PAX, you're being part of such a great community that really is they really only come together all together like a couple times a year, but it's like the best couple days of the year. And I think it's so great to even just think about, wow, like I'm a part of that community, and you get to look forward to that, and I get to suffer from post PAX depression. um that's another episode for another day though, but I
Yeah,
think
it's definitely been
you
interesting.
just have to step back and think, and even even just seeing the community all year instead of just at PAX events being part of the server
Hmm.
completely changed
Mhm.
the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean that's what the server's been continuously aspiring for is packs between packs, but obviously nothing will ever be that actual packs. But we do have a couple, actually a pretty good handful now of very dedicated users on here. Aside from obviously staff and
Yeah.
PCD ambassadors and whatnot, but we definitely have a good community going, and every time a PAX event comes, we get anywhere from 10 to like 100 new people. Sometimes like 10 or 20 drop out, but we've been growing slowly but steadily.
Yeah.
And the important thing really isn't that we shoot up to 10,000 members in one event, but that we are getting. I'd rather have like 10 really like nice members that are actually like contributing to the community than 1,000 people that we have to constantly put watch on, that are causing issues.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what we have. Basically, everyone in our servers a really solid person, whether they are just literally lurkers or if they're contributing. Um, but no one really causes issue, and like I said, if they do, we make sure that it doesn't ruin everyone else's
Everyone
time.
else is fun. Yeah. Um, and even just being able to see, like when I in my Discord, I try to keep everything like red, everything, no little notch
I do the
next to
same,
the
yeah.
icon. But I just find it so difficult to do here because, like I see even people posting in the food channel.
Yeah.
Like I never thought I'd like, and that's just people who are posting because they're part of the community, and I just think that's awesome. And being able to like even talk about things other than PAX with the community is just the greatest.
Yeah, the server has a lot of downtime between packs, so but definitely like within if you go to like any PAX event and you're talking like a month before it and like maybe like a week or two after it, like the servers really like kicks up every time an event happens, like during that time. And then you have your occasional chatter here and there, but yeah, it's always good to see people talking, even when a PAX event isn't coming or if it's not a PAX event they're going to. Um, we definitely do have a good hand of dedicated people that still like to interact with people, even when it's just not their time to shine for their PAX.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why we created this podcast, just to try to keep everybody having something to do with PAX going on, because at least for me, I love just thinking about PAX every chance I get, um to look forward to it and everything. But even just having something to listen to on the way to work or school, and just to start looking forward to PAX, even if it's what is it 123 days away.
For East, yeah, and
You're
it's
already
like
counting? Not yes,
Well,
something
that's
like
what I
that
look
though.
forward to
we got
Yeah.
39 days till Unplugged
till
as well,
unplugged.
which is the next one we will be attending.
Mm. So
So, I mean, it's good that we have PCD presence at basically every. We had our first real presence at OS this year, thanks to one of our moderators, RSM, who got some PAX Community Discord badges out to people all the way in Australia, which was very cool. It'd be cool one year if we could somehow get enough of our people out there for a panel. It likely won't be next year, but you never know.
yeah, you never know. It's really. I mean, granted, we could have 100 people join next OS that say, "Hey, we'll all go to a panel," and we get people who are ambassadors who are willing to go out there and put on a show. or we get people who become ambassadors who are in Australia, and
I know.
that's the greatest. That's the fact that we have people from all around the world, really, who are all part of the same community. I think that's the greatest. And I know I say that a lot, especially tonight, but I just think that the community is so strong, which is what makes PAX such a great event. Not only that you get to go into a giant convention with tons of games, card games, board games, video games, all different types of media, but it's like everybody there is there because they all share something in common, and I think that's the best part about it. Um,
As you mentioned before, it's definitely a once you really get entwined in like something like, um, being an ambassador or staff member of the server, and like some of the, I guess you can call it, new opportunities that open up because of it. Um, it's makes your PAX trip entirely different in like a good way, of course.
yeah,
Um, and the first year that was like really prominent for me, at least, was like 2018's East. And it gives you like a whole new perspective on the place. You're not like this. I don't think anyone in our server. Well, I'm not discrediting any of our members, of course. I don't think any of the higher ups in our server, think they're like all that or anything. Like, but it's cool to know that like you have a bigger at least part, in creating that experience for some people. Um, whether it's just handing them a badge, from a community that they joined online, to putting on a panel and going to that panel and seeing these people, that you got to communicate with. It's just something kind of special.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, Matt, did you have any other comments,
I mean,
remarks,
there's not a whole lot
questions?
more to add on. The new PAX design, I know because you guys are basically just going on, but the new PAX design is definitely really cool, and the
Keeping the
badge
phone true.
design, yeah, the badge design is very exciting to see. It's a huge refresh. It is much it's such a different badge design from our previous years, which are more like 2017 or 2018 was I don't want to say a dated design to hurt anyone's feelings in this call.
Give me 20. Which one are you referring to?
I'm
Oh,
referring
you're
to
for
the
2018. Okay, no, I'm getting my years wrong. You're right.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
That's why I
2018
corrected.
was the first
I
design.
don't think there was a 2017 badge.
Nah, yeah,
Yeah.
2018
So
was the
the
first
first
year.
badge we had, it was cool because it was a good badge, but like when I saw the new kind of like paintbrush design that we had for this year, I'm like, wow, that's a night and day difference. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing that again. It's such an iterative difference. Like when you see this, you're gonna enjoy it. Even if it's just a free badge, I really do encourage you guys to go out and grab one from us because it's definitely a really cool thing to go be able to rep around. Even if you just if it's even if it doesn't have your Discord name printed on it, you write your Discord name in. We do stuff when you do pick up your badge. You can have Sharpie on it, um, and it just looks really cool to have on your person. But
Yeah, I'm super happy people it was being received, at least from, all of you guys and staff and everything. The design was well received, so I'm hoping it's well received by the community, of course. Just one more shout out to our friend Fernando, aka, he goes by Vanderforge too, but apparently there's a streamer that is also called Vanderforge. So, if you want to find his, art station, it will be posted in the announcement link. But he did an awesome job on the artwork so far. And I think the plan is to have him do more of it for us. So I'm looking forward to the future designs of these badges, and hopefully everyone else's too. Got to collect all of them.
He's certainly talented.
mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
I was very nervous on how you would bring this 2D blob of a figure to life, and I had some ideas that I sent him over, and I think he did a fantastic
yeah,
job
he
at it.
definitely executed. Well, he's very talented. But I think with that, with like the trading card and the trading card design at least, and the new Paxter, being so malleable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Um, there's so many so many more opportunities to do things like new shirts that are not even specific to one packs or something like that. I think there's more opportunities to do things that or new items that people can rep the server with. And I mean, I would definitely probably wear a Paxter hat, but that's just me. Um, and I think there's so much more that we can do, like with the badges, so much more we can do with the server icons, so much more we can do with emojis, so much more we can do with shirts, everything. Um, and I think that's one of the greatest parts about it, is that there's so much you can do with new Paxter. So,
Yeah, I'm sure he'll pop up in more places in the future.
Be ready
Yeah.
for it.
all right, yeah. Anything else? Anything else you want to say?
I think everything else will be chalked up to surprise and what's to come. There will be more announcements.
There's a lot to come.
Probably post unplugged is what I would say is when any more things will be announced. This has already been a lot with new Paxter and then new badges all in this course of like a month and a half. So
Yeah.
I think that is enough on the design side of things for a bit.
Well, there'll be plenty more, I'm sure, coming out in the future, which is exciting. Even just think about, because and as the new badges get released, more exciting things to look forward to. And I think that's just the next part in making the server the best it can be. And that's what
I
we'll
agree.
all certainly try to do.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us tonight, GFX. It's
Not a problem, my
been a
pleasure.
pleasure. So yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't too awkward.
It absolutely
No,
not.
it's fun. It's always nice. This is more of a meta podcast or
Yeah.
episode as well. We do have some more fun stuff to go over sometime in the future, so keep on subbed on to this channel, whatever method you're listening to us today.
Speaking of which, we just got
Mhm.
accepted to Apple Podcasts. A little bit
Which
of
will be
woohoo.
fun. So if you have an Apple device, be looking out for that. That will be up there sometime in the
Yes.
near future. So
Yes, so there's that. We are also on Spotify. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, that's where you can find us. Yeah, let me read them off. We're on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. A couple more. Yeah, there's just so much. And there's so much you can listen to us on, which is awesome. So yeah, it's all fun. Hopefully we'll be putting out as much as we can, especially getting closer to Unplugged South and East. Get more episodes out. We took a little bit of a slump. We're going back stronger than ever. But yeah, thank you very much, GFX, for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure and honor. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching, whatever medium you're joining us today with. But my name is Entity. I was joined by the lovely, stunningly
Matt
beautiful Matt
PSG.
PSG. And our gracious guest, GFX. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Adios. Bye, guys.